Welcome back to the Two Blues podcast and another live match reaction, a very special episode because it is our 100th episode, but unfortunately not very much to celebrate. A dire performance front to back from this Chelsea side. We got absolutely battered, absolutely thumped. There is no other way to say it. Absolutely dominated by a Liverpool side that wanted it more. The script was written before the game. Let's just get that out of the way first. There were two stonewall penalties, which could have changed the course of the game, one at 0-0 and one at 3-1. And we'll get into those decisions along with, individual player performances and a whole lot of that in this live match reaction. Obviously, hosted as always by myself, got my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks with me. And yeah, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and make sure to follow at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok. But let's get into it, Charms. 4-1. We expected a loss today. Defeat by that margin, I'm not particularly surprised by, but at the same time, the manner of the performance, I am. It was dismal.
Yeah, man. I thought that, we looked poor, as you said, front to back. I thought Badiashile, I think you finally might start understanding what I'm talking about. I think that we look flaky. I think we look toothless. And if you look at the two sides, I thought it was even until it just isn't. You know what I mean? I think that there was very similar aspects to the way that we played, the way that Liverpool played. And it's just like they're so much more ruthless. They're so much more willing to put in a good challenge. I think, as you said, I think the one at 3-1 is a very, very clear Stonewall 100% penalty. The first one I gave, at the time I was going ballistic. A lot of people tell me it's a bit 50-50. I don't know, man. I wanted to watch it again before I gave a final.
I was the reverse on the first one. When I first saw it, I thought, he's gone down too easily. I thought it was just the pull of the shirt. And then I saw the knee knock and I thought, oh, maybe it is. Yeah. And then I saw it again close up and I thought, you know what? He's through on goal. He's taken him out his stride. If, at least take it to VAR, at least go and look at it. Go and look at it. And the thing that was pissing me off was the commentators. I mean, I switched over to BT, TNT second half, and they were a bit better. But the commentators on the first stream I was watching were just gassing up the referee and gassing up Liverpool. Oh, it's right decision, right? Bro, as Taylor said here, appreciate you joining us, Taylor, and commenting, had 12 men playing. That was absolutely, remind me, Taylor, what the second one was, because I can only remember the Gallagher one.
It was the Chilwell one.
He dived there. Yeah, he dived there. And Mudryk as well. Mudryk was flopping all over the shop, man. He's struggled. The changes needed to be made at half time.
That's what I was
happy to see a triple substitution at half time. Maybe could have thought it could have been Sterling from Madueke. Sterling, I thought, after today, fuck Sterling. All my homies hate Sterling, bro. His decision making, his passing is just. It's not even at the point where it's bad for a player of his quality and experience. It's just bad in general for a professional footballer. Raheem Sterling is not up there, not playing up to par with what we expect from him. And he was, he went missing for about 40 minutes in that second half. The first half, he was dreadful today, bro.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was going to say as well, man. I thought for me, the one thing I was noticing with him today was his movement was just off. Like, usually that's it with Raheem Sterling. He finds a space. He's always kind of teetering that line inside or onside, wherever he is. And today, I just thought wherever he was just ghosty. You know what I mean? He didn't really want to be a part of it. Whenever he got the ball, I thought it was very sort of passing move and not in the Barcelona sort of creating space. It's kind of get rid of it and kind of disappear. And I didn't. He's just past it at this point. And this is coming from someone that was saying that he was our player of the season so far when we were on like the 7th or 8th game week. Right, I was very high on him for the season, and yeah, man, I just think the performances have nosedived. But as you said, I thought the substitutions were very good. I thought they were needed. I thought that particularly in Kunku, once he comes on, it feels like there's a little bit more dynamo going forward. Me personally, in that, I think that's represented in the goal. I thought he did very well to earn that.
showed his tech today, man. The goal alone, I mean, he showed he was a problem. His movement, his intelligence. He didn't come to feet and kind of want the ball as he did when he played. I think it was Palace when he came on before and had that cameo. But he did exactly the same amount of damage. He must have the best minutes to goals or goals to minutes ratio in the Premier League. His effectiveness, he's already proven that in the two brief cameos that he's had before getting injured. You know, injuries are a big thing. We are going to have to manage him a lot more carefully. I was very surprised that he was thrown on, you know, given that we've only seen him in training or full team training in the last couple of days. But he looks like he is that player to gel that unit together, you know, for the time being. And what, you know, in his absence, it's been Cole Palmer. We've been very, very happy. And I'm not saying, you know, Cole Palmer needs to go anywhere. And I don't want this to come as, you know, to be misconstrued because, you know, admittedly, yes, Cole Palmer did have an absolute stinker today. He really struggled to get into the game in the first half, and that just kind of stuck with him. He was out of sync. You know, didn't really get involved in that. You know, when he tried to do a little ball and whatever in the second half, didn't really come off. But yeah, I think Nkunku is definitely the answer long term, and he's got to be in the number 9 role. You know, as much as we appreciate Jackson and you know the work rate and what he does, when you compare them player for player and the players that they got around them, Nkunku's the guy. But Mudryk, I mentioned Mudryk a minute ago. I thought he was pretty poor. Connor Bradley just had him on ropes, and I thought, you know, at points I was thinking, bro, I wish Trent was playing. It was like that. Connor Bradley was like Trent on steroids today. But yeah, talk to me about Mudryk, bro. What are your thoughts on him?
I'd rather talk about Connor Bradley, and that's saying something, man, because I do like Mudryk, and I just thought that today it was just another sort of he has that, you know, that switch in him where he either comes on and he's that timid, shy little kid, which he was today, that we've seen when he was like coming in the first few matches he played. Then he went through that phase where it looked like he found his confidence. He was trying to beat the man. He was staying on side. He was passing, he was moving, he was getting central, which I thought was really important. I thought he was making the run, but I just thought when the ball was coming in, it's almost like they were playing as if he was having that sort of confidence spell where it feels like he can build up the attack and go forward. But whenever he was doing it, it felt frozen. And I don't know, he just felt muted. And I think that's the difference between our and their attack. Was like, you look at how we can make a power sub like that, like put on a player like Mudryk, which you could argue is in our starting 11. And I would argue, you know, that's one of the better attacking players that we have on the pitch on this day. Like, and he just looks like he can't make anything happen. He can't get round the defense. He doesn't spark any creativity, which I usually think is the best part of his game. At least it was when I watched him against Palace. I thought it was the best game I'd seen him play, and he looked like he was building things up, being creative, looking for opportunities, and it felt like he was scared of Van Dijk. You know, he was scared to go try and break through the centre backs, and it was just a frustrating performance all round. You know, I think that you compare that to someone like the performance that Connor Bradley had today, where he looked confident, he looked sharp, he looked like he was ready to go around a man, beat someone, win the ball in, and then turn around and try and get an assist. You know, which he ended up doing twice, and ended up bagging one for himself as well. So, you know, I just wish it was Mudryk that we were talking about rather than that kid.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, talking about success on the right, I mean, we didn't have much from either wing. You know, Mudryk, Sterling, as we said, both poor today. Madueke didn't really offer much in that first half. Disasi, I mean, I thought Disasi did all right at right back in the first half. Whenever Luis Diaz faced him up, he did okay. I don't think he had the beating of him once. Didn't really get many opportunities. Anything that came in that first half didn't go through Luis Diaz. It was, you know, Jota. Or Darwin Núñez, but you know, Luis Diaz was fairly muted for the most, you know, on paper the most dangerous of the three. I thought Disasi did all right. Obviously, a bit of a tactical shift when Chilwell came off in the second half or out of half time. But Malo Gusto coming on, you know, a player that I didn't expect to have as many injury problems as, you know, we never do, but I didn't expect him to have this many injury problems. He's coming back from injury. Every time he does, he looks like a brand new player. It's a new lease of life. I'm like, thank fuck we got this guy on the books. You know, about 5 minutes in, he's putting in a brilliant low ball for Mudryk, which he, you know, absolutely spooned it over the bar. But the delivery on this guy is fantastic. When he's just come, you know, just fresh on in a big game, you know, just come back from injury, already putting in fantastic balls. I think his work rate's great, technically great. He's calm on the ball. Sometimes that gets him a little bit, you know, in trouble when he's in his, you know, his own third. But most of the time he manages to maneuver himself out of sticky situations wherever he is. And I think Malo Gusto, I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember rightly, you weren't convinced on Malo Gusto a couple of months ago. How's that developed? What have you? I mean, in the last couple of months, has anything that you've seen change your mind, or are you still?
Well, yeah. Listen, I definitely, I'm way more sort of impartial to him than I was before. I was very quick to sort of write him off after a few bad performances. When you know, looking back, thinking about it now, it was like 5 or 6. So I do consider it justified. But as you said, you know, whenever he comes back from injury, he does look fresh. And for me, it's still defensively, I think it's not all there, you know, when it comes to like holding down a starting position. But like going forward, you can't deny that the guy is a threat. He put in the best, you know, opportunity that we had of the game at that point. You know, that absolutely put it on a dime piece. And, you know, I feel like I would have banged that one in personally to do that. You know, them ones, like you see those balls there and it's disrespectful to not put them away.
He didn't even look like he had control. He was leaning back.
Man. Yeah, I know, man.
He looked out.
It's just disrespectful to not put some effort onto that. But when a ball comes like that, and he just had hate in his heart that today, man. It's just, it's not nice. But yeah, Gusto, bro. Like I still think that it's not he's not like a long-term 11s is a left back. You know, like that. That's not what I'm looking at. But I do think that there is definitely like time and a place. I think he's a very good rotational player when it comes to like making something happen. He's a type of player that I think would go well against a team that you know like plays a low block, like doesn't really like balls coming in really fast and wide, because I think that's where he's good, and I think he's good at beating other fullbacks as well, getting through midfielders. Yeah, man, I think he's good from like a technical perspective, but I just think defensively it's just not the long-term idea, you know what I mean? But yeah, as you were saying, man, I wasn't a big fan of him, and he's definitely grown a bit more on me now than he was before, for sure.
Yeah. Taylor, we'll jump in the comments quickly. Taylor says we was getting booked for every single challenge in the first half.
I was saying this, man.
Don't get me wrong, they were the better team. Fair enough, I agree. Yeah, let's just get the record straight. We all agree Liverpool deserve to win today. 100%, 10 times the better team. But yeah, there's no denying the ref ruined the game in the first half. The one that pissed me off the most was the Caicedo one, where he got booked for going after he won the ball. I mean, that did me. I was already hitting my head against the wall at that point. I knew, you know, at that point, we all kind of knew. And like I said, when we jumped on this stream, we expected Chelsea to lose today. They always the underdogs. Liverpool always the favourites. The script was always written. And they put in an absolute shift today, did what we expected them to do. I can't lie. Anfield, they were pissing me off a little bit. You know, I hate those grounds where they boo you whenever you've got the ball, no matter what's going on. I know it's only in like the first 10 games until they get bored.
They just can't stand us, man.
It's just like, bro, you're just haters. Like, why are you booing? Like, but you know, it did the job today. Chelsea just didn't have the mentality. Liverpool wanted it more, as they so often do, and it so often comes from that desire. But something that I want to highlight is that desire doesn't always beat talent, and that can be said for Conor Gallagher. That is a conversation that has been rife on our social media across all platforms because of the shorts have been putting out, because of the conversations we've been having on these podcasts. Conor Gallagher today was pretty awful. You know, failed to keep the ball. You know, apart from the penalty contribution, which you could argue he did go over a little bit easily. You know, could have tried to go a little bit harder. I mean, again, not done it for me today.
If you look at
Chukwuemeka, massive upgrade.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Chukwuemeka's you know, like when you look at skill for skill, man, it's at this point. I think we're lucky. We would have been lucky to get 50-40 mil when it got. I know. Don't say it. I know.
I was going to say, you were saying Chukwuemeka was shit last week.
I know. Listen. But today, yeah, I'm sick of him, man. I'm really just fed up, bro. Because I know that the referee, I could see it in your face building up. I know the referee played a massive contribution into that first half, and it was 11 versus 12. I get that. I understand. But like, when you look at the differences made at the half with the substitution, do you know what I mean? When you look at the difference after the substitutions, it's just like night and day, and that all comes down to Conor Gallagher holding down the role he does and being so important when he's on the ball. And today it just looked like that agent of chaos that we've been kind of dubbing in that name, it just didn't work at all, man. It was just going in and everywhere. And the only time it did work, the referee was not having it. And I wasn't having it at the time. I thought obviously we had a pen, but then again, you've got to try and keep focused and keep pushing and keep trucking. And I felt for like 5 minutes after that penalty, he was zoned out. Going into the rest of that half, he kind of seemed all over the gaff, going in and just poking people about. It just didn't seem like, you know, what I wanted to see. Right in the middle, the core of that midfield, and yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. How you doing today, Scott? You're right, yeah.
It's
feeling
funny.
nice
It's funny,
and well?
Scott. I thought 10 o'clock was when the alarm clock went off. As the missus let the leash off for 5 minutes. You got a break to come outside and have a cigarette and watch YouTube. Cheeky bastard slipping on to get your digs in. I'll show you your message out of respect for a second, but fuck off out of here. But yeah, man, appreciate you jumping in, Scott. Scott was supposed to be our special guest tonight, so everyone blame Scott because the episode isn't, you know, if the episode doesn't get going, because he was supposed to be here. But it's his missus' birthday, so happy birthday to Mrs. Nicol. I think it's tomorrow, so happy birthday, Mrs. Nicol. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, Scott. Sorry, but happy birthday, Mrs. Nicol. But anyway, yeah, back to the topic at hand. I'm really glad I put out a short. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, and I spoke about the players being available to us coming back into the team. Obviously, you got Malo Gusto and Kunku back in training. You know, Robert Sanchez. Trevor Chalobah's back in training. Cesare Casale back part of the team. But the player that I'm most excited about, or was most excited about, is Carney Chukwuemeka. Fit, available, ready. And I said that the best thing about Carney Chukwuemeka, even if he's not going to be, you know, in a starting position, and I said this, and it's actually kind of scary close, but I said at the weekend we should start obviously Enzo Caicedo, Gallagher. I do think in a situation where we are struggling to break down and struggling to unlock a defense, Carney Chukwuemeka is that guy. He has that technical ability, those quick feet, that you know, that tech about him in and around the box, the ability to unlock a defense, to pick that pass. And he did it tonight. He did exactly that. He, you know, made that charging run forward, carries the ball forward. He's great with the ball at his feet. He's fast. He's skillful. You know, whether it's in close quarters or whether it's running with the ball, you know, he's a great carrier of the ball. And we do need that in this Chelsea side. You know, players like Enzo and Caicedo, while they're great passers, great breaking up play, you know, not the best carriers of the ball. So Chukwuemeka provides, you know, a few different aspects that I think are missing from this Chelsea side, and you know, obviously provided the assist for Nkunku today, which I thought, you know, was just the icing on the cake. But another player before we
see that though. But how long term do you see that?
What, in terms of him being a player in this Chelsea side?
Yeah, no, in terms of like being in that sort of starting 11 fold, because if that's what you're talking about.
I feel like at the moment, no, he's not in contention for, well, I mean, maybe at the moment, given if Conor Gallagher goes tomorrow, he's definitely, you know, the third in my midfield there. But at this point in time in this Chelsea squad, he'd be like Conor Gallagher. He'd be, you know, an important rotation and or impact player that we could bring on from the bench, you know, 50, 60 minutes if we're struggling or we need to change a game, bring the tempo or just change the dynamic. He's a player that offers something different. I think it's important to have, you know, particularly when we are looking to play in multiple different competitions, it's important to have players that can offer something different and can change the dynamic. While we do, and, you know, I can't believe we're still saying this, you know, 100 episodes on, 4 years on, however many years after supporting Chelsea, we're still looking for an identity, an attacking identity, a style of play, a consistent, you know, consistent style of, under a manager. That, however, does need to be adaptable. You know, if we're playing against a team at a low block and a team against Man City, that's different. And Chukwuemeka offers something. He might be able to start against the low block and then come on against Man City, or, you know, I feel like he's definitely got the potential. I mean, he definitely, don't get me wrong, he has the ceiling to be in this, you know, a starter in this Chelsea side. But now, definitely, he's part of it.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's what I was asking, because when you're talking about Gallagher going out the fold and then him being able to come on, I just wanted to see what you were meaning. Blowing up 40 balloons downstairs. We love to see it. Don't be inhaling them, King. You know, it's bad for you.
Oh, don't worry, Shooter. We're here for it. We can hold the call, and we wouldn't have come online if we didn't expect something. And you know, if we don't like it, I just won't bring it up. I don't have the comments up live on the side. I'm periodically checking in and just squinting to see which ones I want to read and which ones I don't. But appreciate everybody in the chat. And I think Lemon, who is in the chat, and I think Just MG's in the chat as well, my boy. Appreciate you jumping in. But Lemon's right. Chat, get involved. Like the stream, comment, get involved in the chat, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Harder than Liverpool smash Chelsea, which would be pretty fucking hard to be honest. But yeah, onto the ball. Thanks for joining us, Taylor. Thanks for joining us, Just OMG, Lemon, everybody. Appreciate you. Would you be happy if Gallagher does happen to go to Spurs for 80 million? Me,
100%. 100% tomorrow. I would take that every day.
Would you? No. Would you be happy? Not would you take it? Would you be happy if Gallagher went to Spurs? If Conor Gallagher went to Spurs tomorrow and started on the potch, you'd be happy.
If they bought Gallagher for 80 M's, I'll be gassed. I'd be gassed. I wouldn't mind because it's an agent Gallagher setting. He's not gonna pop. Like he
would under Onge. He would.
I just don't think he would, man. I just think that you look at this. I get it when you look at their style and like the way that they like to be very quick in on the break and beat play and like he could pair up very well with a player like Son. I get that, but like for 80 mil, like Conor Gallagher, like you're gonna give us that and he gets to go to Spurs and it's a project job.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'd bite your fucking hand off. If you gave me 80 mil, I'd rip your arm out of its socket before the words even came out your mouth. Would I be happy that Conor Gallagher went to Tottenham? No. When I feel like he does have an important part to play, I feel like if he left Chelsea now, there would be a little bit of a hole. I feel like he would be missed. There are other players that could come in like Cassidy, but he's not proven to the level that Conor Gallagher is. It's very possible that one or two of these players get an injury. Conor Gallagher, Mr. Consistent, has always been that reliable guy. So in this fragile situation with the squad at the moment, I do feel like, and I mean, he's vice captain. If Chilwell doesn't play, it's another, throwing another captain situation. I do feel like personally, I mean, Todd Boehly, does he really need that 20, 30 mil? How much is that 20, 30 mil for Conor Gallagher worth to him? Because he could easily get 40, 50 mil for Conor Gallagher further down the line. It's how important is Conor Gallagher to this squad in the next 6 months? So good question because it's
a thought experiment. I like that.
But yeah, I don't think City are going to get involved. I don't think City have any interest in a player like Conor Gallagher. They like players with technical ability, as demonstrated by Nunes and De Bruyne and everybody else tonight. But back onto the small positives for Chelsea. Today, George Petrovic may have conceded 4, but I mean he made probably 12, 30, maybe 15 big saves over the course of 90 minutes. There was, not 5 minutes where his goal wasn't getting peppered. What do we think of that? Because the general consensus at the moment is that Robert Sanchez fit, back in training, will just slot back into that number 1 position. Everyone reckons that Poch is just going to go back to his favourite. But he seems to have convinced the fan base that, as I said, the general consensus, Petrovic is better than Sanchez, definitely in goal for Chelsea at the moment. What are your thoughts on his performance tonight and in general that situation?
Well, personally, I just think that if you look at the opportunities granted tonight and you look at the saves made, if Robert Sanchez was in goal tonight, that's 6-1, that's 7-1. Like there was opportunities there where you can't do nothing about them. The centre backs aren't giving him too much to work with. He's got weight shots coming out from weird angles. Shout out Bradley once again. A lot of them hard to get to. Robert Sanchez is not getting to a lot of those opportunities. I know Darwin Núñez was. He broke the record for the most for the first player to hit the woodwork 4 times in a Premier League match, which was fun to see. But yeah, that doesn't really come into play here. I think that long term, technically, better shot stopper. Wider. I'm pretty sure he's longer as well. I'm pretty sure he's got he's taller, got a longer wingspan. I think his physicals are better. But I think he passes the eye test more above all else, man. I just think he looks better, safer in goal than Leaky Sanchez. He's been He's been very damaging when it comes to just when the ball comes in, slapping it out, punching it out. Petrovic gets him down, holds him tight, goes down with it. I just prefer him in goal. So for me, I think there would be a lot more questions having to be asked with the fitness of Sanchez. When he does come back, I think that it's difficult because Sanchez does have that sort of higher experience level, more games in the Premier League, probably the quote unquote safer option. But yeah, at this point, safety is one thing, and Petrovic is another, man. I think it's time to get him in there and start getting him into the fold full time.
Yeah, I agree. What would you? I mean, it's obviously still kind of a month away. But what are you thinking for our chances in that EFL Cup final? Are you writing us off already, or do you think we've got a hope?
Well, listen, like in the end of the day, big Chelsea, like we do this for real. Like we can go into a final and win it 1-0 on any given Sunday. Like it's the same thing going into a Champions League final against City. Didn't know too many people that were going to be, confident that Chelsea were going to win that one, were they? And then all of a sudden it makes sense after we win. So listen, when it comes to a final, I understand that the Klopp narrative is pretty heavy and it does weigh a lot. It makes the ground louder, it makes the support bigger, it kind of ties it all together, and that does play against us. It is a final. We didn't look amazing in the first leg of the semi, but the second leg, I wouldn't have minded our chances against a bad Liverpool. So listen, I'm not going to count us out immediately. I think it'd be silly to. I think a lot of people will, and I don't blame them. You can't blame them. You have to be the underdog sometimes. It's just how it works in sports. But it's a shame it's us on this occasion. It was Liverpool not too long ago. Let's not forget that. And I'm sure it will be in due course. But listen, I don't see why we can't make a couple tactical changes after seeing what had happened, going in very similar to how we started that second half. Stay aggressive, try and figure out that Bradley kid who made a massive impact. If we can find a way to try and get him figured out, then I think that would make a massive stint. Obviously, the refereeing will be completely different that day, God willing. So, yeah, man, I think
I wouldn't bet on that cup final. It will be just as much in Liverpool's favour as any other given game. But yeah, one can only hope. I suppose it can only touch wood. Heaven forbid it can't get any worse. It can't be any worse than that. Surely, a drubbing. I mean, even to lose by 2-3 in a final, that's pretty embarrassing. But yeah, 4-1 wouldn't be the best look. The one thing I will say though, you obviously mentioned about the DNA of Chelsea, what we've done in the past, have been underdogs. There were very, very different Chelsea teams, very different Chelsea managers who were experienced at winning and in finals. And Pochettino doesn't have the best record either in finals or against Liverpool or in the Premier League, to be honest. So
then again, he was at Spurs, my brother. So it is a completely different thing there, isn't it? I mean, the things that he could have done, the amount of times Poch has been counted out in his career and drawn it to the line, fair enough. Doesn't have the best record when it comes to winning them. But listen, you say that the situations aren't similar, man. Like, I don't know, bro. I think there was a lot more pressure at the time we won our Champions League in 2012, man. I think there was a lot more pressure to perform in a bigger cup.
But we had a lot more proven, experienced winning players rather than just
But then when you look at the second one in 2020, you look at that squad, and yeah, we had more stronger leaders at the back and whatnot. But the front line, it was a weak. It was a weak front three. You can't deny it, bro. Havertz had just kind of come into that fold. He wasn't really that guy yet. People were talking about that. Is that £50 million goal sort of the same thing? And I thought he was okay at Chelsea, but he never lit it on fire, man. You can't deny that. And you can say the same thing about a player like Cole Palmer. I'd argue that if Christopher Nkunku was in that squad back then, he would have slotted into that starting 11 one time, bro. If the one that was playing today was in there, he would have slotted in there. So we have players that would play in that side, and it's once again, it's an easier competition against an easier competition. And I think we have to take that into play as well. They're not exactly the Man City of 2020. So I don't know, man. I just think there's perspectives to it, and you can't look at things in just one light. I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm going to have a skewed view. I'm going to have blue glasses on, man. I do it all the time. But it's just the way I see it. I do not see a reason why this is any different to the last couple of times. We're serially doubted out because there's a bunch of reasons. And you're 10th in the league. You can't win a Champions League. You're 1-0 down at 85th minute. They're screwed, bro. Everyone cashing out their bets, bro. And then you never know in sports, man. And that's the beauty of it. Cool. And we could get drubbed 6-0. I just I see our chances of winning are better than what I imagine the odds are going to reflect, personally.
Yeah. I think it's just I don't think this is too many similarity. I think it's just such an unprecedented with the kind of squad overhaul that we've had, the amount of young, inexperienced players that we've had. We've never seen this in the Chelsea side before. Every time in the Roman Abramovich era, regardless of who the manager was, regardless of what the regime was, there was always experienced winners in and around that dressing room. That culture has been completely abandoned, for a new model, which we're going to have to accept. There's no two ways about it. It's a long-term model. They're not exactly just going to pack up and leave this massive investment that they've made. So they are here for the long haul. We are going to have to get used to it. It's not going to change because it is a money-making business at the end of the day. But, can I say I'm best pleased with it? No, I'd rather have, players that understood what it meant to go through these situations and to play for the badge, to have the mix. That's the ideal situation, always has been, always will be, to have a mix of players that have been there, done that, and up and coming talent that injects that bit of youth, that bit of dynamism into the team. And we've got a few players that came on and showed that they have promise today. Cassidy wasn't too poor when he came on. Gusto, like I said, I thought was good in that second half. And Kunku, again, good performance, but it's very few and far between. You say that this Chelsea side, and Kunku would slot into that Chelsea side. I think Kunku would slot into a lot of teams at the moment. And Kunku's a fantastic player. There aren't too many other Chelsea players week in, week out that would beat those players. We've got to remember at the time those players were putting in shifts. We hate on Mason Mount and talk about the player that he is now, but in 2021, Mount was cooking. Maybe not 2021, maybe 1920, but back then Mount was cooking. Havertz weren't too bad, was coming into his patches. Werner, I think, was underrated. And behind that we had Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante, we had Azpilicueta, Silva. We had top boys. That was the season that obviously Reece James and Ben Chilwell had their proper seasons. We had players with serious experience in the Premier League, and a mix of also international and European leagues as well. I think that was kind of the perfect blend. Whereas now we've just got kind of an array of quality talent that we're kind of sitting here and expecting to cook immediately. But it takes time. And someone made a great point actually that we're expecting, and obviously everyone's talking a lot about Kendry Paez, this 16-year-old Colombian that he's won I think 3 awards in the last couple of days or last night at an award ceremony. But we're expecting him to kind of cook, and we've got to remember that Caicedo took 2 seasons on loan before he went to Brighton, and then a season there. He played half a season there before everyone was kind of like, right, this is the guy. So he had 3.5 seasons of professional football. Kendry Paez in Europe. Sorry, Kendry Paez is going to need at least 3.5 seasons in professional football before coming to Chelsea and being ready. And people are scathing Caicedo and saying he's not even ready yet. So the level of preparation that goes into this, that needs, you need to have to be ready for this Chelsea team and to be ready for the Premier League, I think is evident. And you look at that whole squad, how many of those players have 3 years experience in the Premier League? In that starting lineup, Chilwell, Thiago Silva.
Reece James.
No, in that starting line, Chilwell, Thiago Silva. And
in the one, yeah.
Nobody else. Sterling, sorry.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Sterling.
But it's devoid of leadership, and it's when you see Sterling, who was completely at fault for the Conor Bradley, or not completely, but massively at fault for the Conor Bradley goal as well, because he just did not track his man. He was not following back. It was just small mistakes like that, lapses in concentration, which cost us, because those clinical moments just put it over the edge. 1-0 to 2-0 is a big moment. And at that point, when we're already getting battered, when the kitchen sink is already being thrown, it's this Chelsea side is never going to get back from that. And this is a Chelsea side that had not been losing at half time up until tonight. But tonight, that was absolutely shattered. We stood no chance after that first goal went in. I mean, even before the first goal went in, we knew. But after that first goal went in today, I think we were absolutely doomed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was It was just one of those ones where you just got to take a game like that on the chin. You know, it could have gone a lot better for us. You know, obviously we've spoke about all the reasons. We could have been way more ruthless. Mudryk could have bagged. There were multiple opportunities that we just didn't take. You know, and that's been a problem for us. Is just not taking the chances. To be fair, I think that, you know, if we had Nicholas Jackson today, he probably would have been a bit of a scapegoat. You know, he probably would have taken a lot of the blame if he was in there, because I can see a lot of those opportunities flying into him.
That missed chances.
You know what I mean? A lot of the missed chances. You know what I mean? He would have been at fault for a lot of them, and you know, even to get games like today when Cole Palmer's completely silent. You know, we're not going to hate on him because of what he's done over the last few weeks, but like there's just other players in and around that fold that we've spoken about. Mudryk, it's just where is it? Where is it when we need it? You know, we've seen them in glimpses, but it's just when we're down and out and the refereeing decisions aren't going our way, we just can't pull it around. And we used to be able to, you know, whenever things were going away, unless it was just an absolute and total disgrace, then, you know, usually we were able to find our foot into a game in some respect. Today, we just never really looked like we were going to take charge. You know, I think that there was a brief moment when Nkunku scored and we could have got that second pen. That was maybe the only time you could argue that I felt we could go and grab a point. But as soon as they scored, as you said, man, it just felt like we were out.
Yeah, down and out before the game even really got going. And yeah, I mean, Taylor says as long as Anthony Taylor isn't ref in the cup final, we have a chance. I think it's going to take a lot more than, you know, just a referee on our side
it would help
for us to win. It would definitely help, but you know, they're few and far between. I think probably one in every 100 referees these days is against Liverpool. But you know, that's just how the game goes, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do, and as frustrating as it is, we've just got to look internally. The Chelsea team can't sit there and say that game was entirely the referee's fault. They didn't do enough.
You can't.
You know, if they had performed to the level that we expect them to, we wouldn't be sitting here and talking about the referee or talking about refereeing decisions at all, because we have more than enough talent. We spent more than enough money on that Chelsea squad, so they should be doing a far, far better job than they were tonight. Again, like I said earlier, devoid of passion, no real work rate, no commitment, no desire. It was kind of a walk in the park for Liverpool. But yeah, hopefully a month's time will be a lot more positive. And yeah, a very, you know, not the 100th episode that we were hoping for. But yeah, man, we got it done. Managed not to have a mental breakdown on stream, which I was semi worried about. You know, it's been a rough couple of days. This was just kind of, I thought this might have just tipped the iceberg, and if I'd have read the wrong comment at the wrong time, you know, while I was if a Liverpool fan would have popped up while I was berating Sterling, I think I might have flipped the lid. But we made it, man. Just about 100 episodes. 100 episodes.
Yeah, man, crazy, isn't it? It's real crazy, man. 100 episodes later, bro. We're still here. We're still ticking. And listen, onward and upwards, man.
Haven't been cancelled yet, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that's happened.
100 episodes are still going. Bro, if you want to see some more, hit that fucking subscribe button, baby.
What about 50 hours of non-stop Dan and Charm shit talk, bro? I love it, bro. It's
that's me.
60, 70 hours of just absolute toxicity, bro. And we live for it, bro. We live for it. It's just when you bleed blue, sometimes you just gotta talk the truth, man. And people just don't want to hear it sometimes, my guy. And listen, last thing I wanted to say, yeah, is do you understand what I'm talking about when I'm saying talking about Badiashile, man? Do you see the mistake prone nature in? Do you not see it yet?
Nah.
Bro, I saw it so much, bro. I thought it was blatant today, bro, but we'll have to move, man.
Yeah, he weren't great. He didn't cover himself in glory today in centre back. Obviously, when you put him out to left back, it's a little bit of a come on, man. What do you expect him to do? Especially up against like Jota and Nunes and all them.
He's a big boy.
But yeah, no, he was struggling a little bit today. I will concede that Badiashile did not have the best game today. But Shooter, appreciate you joining us. Just MG, appreciate you joining us. Taylor, Appreciate you joining us. Every single person that's subscribed or tuned in, sorry, should I say, to this episode. Thank you very much. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe. If you're watching it live, get involved. If you're watching it back, let us know. Give us a shout. Drop your comments, drop your drop your thoughts. Let us know what you want to see from the next 100 episodes of Two Blues. We're going to have a load of different content for you. Hopefully, we'll revive the What's Gone Wrong soon. We might even do it again at Chelsea because fucking hell.
Do you know what I'm saying, bro? At this point,
there's enough content to do another What's Gone Wrong. But yeah, man, appreciate everybody that's rocking with us. Continue to do so. Make sure to follow at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok as well.